human beings have a big problem. We often feel like we don't belong. The fact is, the human beings are social animals. We're made to want to connect to each other, and yet we're suspicious of those who don't look or act like us. Our brains are immediately and constantly dividing people into groups of us, those who feel familiar and are therefore safe, and them, those people who feel different and therefore are potentially unsafe. Now, this kind of thinking probably did help our early ancestors stay alive, but today just causes us a whole lot of trouble. So today, the world actually feels much bigger because there's so much out there, and smaller, but it all comes right to my doorstep at the same time. We often interact with people who don't look or act or say things the way we normally would. And actually, that's a good thing, because research shows that people who are in groups with diverse membership, those people with different cultures and backgrounds and ways of thinking, they consistently outperform groups that are made of people with similar mental toolkits. The bad news is that where there are differences, conflicts happen. So the very same thing that makes our groups creative and innovative and productive causes certain members of those groups to feel embarrassed and isolated and alone. So think about a time when you didn't belong. How did it make you feel? Did it make you feel embarrassed, awkward, maybe resentful, or maybe even unsafe? And were you really able to fully engage in that group when you felt that way? The truth is that society puts the burden of belonging on the individual who wants to join the group, rather than the group that that individual wants to join. And this can create overwhelming stress as that one lone individual tries to fix themselves in order to fit in. Think about that time when you didn't belong. Did you get any advice from people about how to make that group accept you? Was it very helpful? I'm guessing not so much. But what if that group could really appreciate and welcome all members, instead of immediately going to that sorting process that can marginalize some of its members? What if they fix themselves by creating systems that would give each member of that group a sense of profound belonging? What would it look like if each and every one of them felt valued and respected, like they fit in? Well, they'd probably be happier. They could fully engage in all the activities of that group, and they would be able to build relationships that would be important to move that group to success. For over 2 decades, the organizations that I work for have been fostering profound sense of belonging in the groups that they work with by intentionally building safety and trust using structured communication tools. Other innovative businesses and organizations do the same thing by emphasizing empathy and encouraging equity of voice, and actually flattening the playing field in terms of power hierarchy. These organizations understand that when groups welcome everyone, that their group is more healthy and more productive. So, what can we do to institute the sense of belonging in the groups that we're in so we all can work together better? Well, one thing we can do is always see differences as an asset. Education around how our brains divide people into us and them, and the research that shows that varied membership outperforms groups that actually are homogeneous, even when they're of the brightest. We need to share our personal stories with each other, because when we hear somebody's story, it gives us an insight into what they think and what they care deeply about. This creates connection. We need to listen to each other with curiosity rather than judgment. If we can take our immediate judgments of each other and put them aside and really listen with an open mind, we would be more likely to accept new ideas. We need to cultivate intellectual humility and a tolerance for uncertainty. If we can do this, we create an atmosphere where we can stand up and say, I may not know the right answer. And that primes us to learn from each other and grow. If we need to give feedback, we need to do it with appropriate candor. We want to be direct with one another, but we do not want to push people into that place of defensiveness. So this is hard to do. It takes a lot of skill, but it's a lot easier when we can trust one another. We need to have discussions around what each member of the group needs to make them feel like they belong. This kind of transparent sharing actually fosters caring and helps us connect. And finally, we need to celebrate our successes. We talk so much about what goes wrong, but we rarely learn from and really appreciate what we do right. Celebrating successes can make us all feel appreciated and respected. Remember, if you are an us member of the group, you can help those with them with your us privilege. You have more influence than you think. When people see you reaching out to others with positive results, they are more likely to want to do the same. Think of every tiny act of mutual respect and empathy as a micro-inclusion that will build up over time and take your group to success. To be happy and work well together, we don't have to like every person in our group, but we do need to want to understand them and respect them. When we all feel like we belong, an amazing transformational moment occurs. We all become much more than the sum of our parts.